Welcome to another episode of Game Reviewify. Well, it was the year 2010, which wasn't a very good year for gaming, but there was one genre that stuck it and made gaming a bit better that year, and that was the racing genre. With games like Split Second, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2011, Gran Turismo, and most notably, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing. Now today, we're going to reviewify Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing for PC. What we have here is another one of those Mario Kart clones, only this one does a good job, unlike other previous games that follow in the same order, except of course, Crash Team Racing. Now we remember Sonic had other racing games like the Drift series, which was released for Game Gear, which was a failure, and of course, one we all remember, Sonic R, which was one of the worst Sonic games ever made for Sega Saturn. Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing is a crazy fast racing game, which of course includes weapons to knock out your fellow racers so you can gain for the highest position. The game adds a variety of different weapons and each character hosts its own special move. Just like Mario Kart, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing adds a heat-seeking weapon called Rocket, which is basically a high-speed rocket on a chase to knock out your fellow racers. There is loads of other weapons you'll come across that will come useful in the game to gain the highest position. I also mentioned there's a special weapon for all characters. The only way you get usage of this weapon is being in last place and hitting the question mark can. Most special moves will have you pressing the A button on the Xbox 360 controller so you can do an action move that will destroy the opponents in your path. To me, each special weapon was useful, but I think there should have been a better way of getting usage of this weapon. While I believe I just mentioned the Xbox 360 controller, so I'll go on to the controls next. Well, you can use a keyboard, it's not the greatest idea for this type of game. Yes, in the game you can use the Xbox 360 controller. I found the controls to be pretty precise. I had some issues though, where I went into a drift on a turn and the drift didn't perform. This doesn't happen all the time though, so don't think the game isn't playable. The controller also supports a vibration function, which is great. The only bad part though is you can't modify the controller settings, but that isn't really bad either as the control scheme being used is pretty comfortable to play with and is probably the most accurate control scheme. Just like Crash Team Racing, Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing includes ways to gain turbos quickly and easy. On any turn, just do a drift and hold LT with the Xbox 360 controller. The vibrates will tell you how powerful your turbo is getting. There's 3 vibrations that'll go through the controller. If none happen after that, then you can use the turbo by letting go of the LT button. Even after 1 or 2 vibrates, you can use the turbo. It's just if you wait for 3, your turbo has become more powerful. Also, if you don't have the vibration feature, you'll hear 3 booms notifying you of turbo. There's a host of characters in this game coming from a lifespan of Sega games. Each character controls differently to make the game easier or harder to play with. Example, I found using Shadow was the fastest and easiest character, while Robotnik was slow and sluggish. There is also unlockable characters that may gain interest to any Sega fan. If you remember Shemue, then you remember Ryo Natsuki, and he's one of the unlockable characters in the game. The sound in this game was alright. I didn't mind the soundtracks, but they didn't get me dancing off my feet. But because this game is a racing game, it should have featured music from the Outrun series, and probably a character from that game as well. You can also unlock the tracks in the game so you can choose them for each race, but I don't really care what song I'm listening to in this game. The game also introduces an announcer, which can get pretty repetitive after hearing the same things over and over. The game has a crap load of amazing tracks from Sonic levels, House of the Dead levels, Amigo levels, Jack Ryan levels, and Monkey Ball levels. I really loved the levels in this game. They were all laid out well and very professionally done. Every level looked gorgeous with amazing vibrant colors and the sceneries were all well done. This game features an in-game store where all your unlockables can be found. In the game, when you do a certain amount of missions or complete Grand Prix, you unlock Sega Miles, which is basically like cash you can use in the Sega store, which is in the main menu of the game. Of course, in the store you can find new characters, music, and unlocked levels to be played in single player mode or multiplayer modes. This game also introduces an Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3-like achievement system, which will take you a while to complete and can add more enjoyment to this game. There is a nice amount of modes in this game, like your least favorite, time trial mode, a missions mode, and Grand Prix, and also offline multiplayer, which supports up to 4 players. While yes, the console versions of the game got online multiplayer, it didn't feature weapons, so no loss there. The console versions got DLC, which the PC didn't. Well, up to this year, they only released 3 things. A Metal Sonic level, playable Metal Sonic, and Real Natsuki riding his forklift. I'm not really worried about the playable characters because we already have Ryo Natsuki, and I'm not really worried about Metal Sonic, seeing as how all the other characters add a great taste to the game already, and all control quite fine. But the one thing that would have been cool was the extra level, which has a Metal Sonic theme. I heard from people the DLC was pretty expensive at the time of release. It would have been cool to see DLC for PC, but there isn't really a loss here, 1 level and 2 characters. It looks like this game was made for PC, then ported to consoles. I find this pretty hilarious with the console DLC and online multiplayer, not released for PC. But there is a couple of things that is better in the PC version. Better high quality graphics, high resolutions, and better frame rates. The console versions were given good scores, but the main drawback was its frame drops. Well, I guess it's time for the finalization of this game. I will tell you that this game is playable and a lot of fun. Since its release in 2010, I've still been playing this game and will play this for ongoing years. The offline multiplayer is fun and is great for the whole family or a whack load of friends. The graphics in this game shine beautifully and is good eye candy. There's a good load of characters to play from, and each character plays differently, so you can choose whatever feels comfortable for you. There is a whack load of weapons to use to make this game more fun. You can use the Xbox 360 controller for better controls. The save feature features 3 blocks, so if there's one person completing the game, you can play your own game and save it in your own block. Now for what's bad about the game. Well, the PC version didn't have DLC or online multiplayer. The game features usage of the Xbox 360 controller, but you can't customize it. The sound was good in the game, but the music wasn't overly attractive to me, and the announcer was annoying. The special weapons in the game can only be used when you're in last place. Sometimes, not often, you get stuck on a turn and can't do a drift. Well, I hope your family and friends get ready for an awesome racing adventure with Sonic and Sega All-Star Racing. I also hope you enjoyed this episode and hope you return for another episode of Game Reviewify.